Marcus never imagined he would run into his ex-girlfriend, Elena, again. It had been 3 years since they ended their relationship. During that time, Marcus built a successful business and became known for his expensive suits, luxury cars, and confident attitude. Deep inside, however, he still carried the pride that had destroyed their love. One sunny afternoon, Marcus stepped out of a luxury hotel after a business meeting. As he adjusted his watch, his eyes landed on a familiar face across the street. It was Elena. She looked happier than he had ever seen her, dressed simply but elegantly. Standing beside her was a tall, well-dressed man who smiled warmly as they talked. Marcus couldn't hide his smirk. "So, she finally found someone else," he muttered. "I always knew she couldn't make it on her own." Without thinking, he walked toward them. Well, Marcus said loudly. "Elena, I never expected to see you again. I guess you had to find another man to take care of you." Elena looked at him calmly. There was no anger in her eyes, only quiet confidence. "Hello, Marcus," she replied politely. Marcus laughed. "You always depended on other people. I hope this guy knows what he's getting into." The man beside Elena remained silent, watching Marcus carefully. Marcus folded his arms and continued, "You remember when I said you'd never succeed without me? Looking at you now, I guess I was right." People nearby began slowing down, sensing the tension. Elena took a deep breath before speaking. "You know, Marcus, there was a time when your words would have hurt me. I believed every insult you threw at me. I believed I wasn't smart enough or capable enough." Marcus smiled proudly, convinced he had won. "But leaving you," Elena continued, "was the best decision I ever made. I finally realized my worth." Her calm voice unsettled Marcus more than any angry response could have. He glanced at the man beside her again, assuming he was just another wealthy boyfriend. Marcus prepared another sarcastic remark, completely unaware that the next few minutes would change everything he believed about Elena, and about himself. As the man finally stepped forward to introduce himself, Marcus's confident smile slowly began to fade. The man extended his hand with a polite smile. "My name is Daniel," he said. "I'm Elena's business partner." Marcus froze for a moment. "Business partner," he repeated, unable to hide his surprise. Daniel nodded. "Yes. 3 years ago, Elena started a small design company with almost nothing. Today, we employ over 200 people, and next month we're opening our 3rd office." Marcus stared at Elena, convinced he had heard wrong. Elena smiled gently. "Life has a funny way of changing." Marcus laughed awkwardly, trying to recover. "Come on, Elena. You expect me to believe all that?" Daniel pulled out his phone and showed Marcus a recent business magazine cover. Right there on the front page was Elena's photograph beside the headline, "Young Entrepreneur of the Year." Marcus's face lost its color. This can't be real," he whispered. "It is," Daniel replied. "She built everything through hard work, determination, and kindness. The same qualities you failed to appreciate." People nearby began whispering as they recognized Elena from the magazine. A few even walked over to congratulate her. Marcus remembered the countless times he had mocked her dreams. "You'll never run a business. You're too weak. You'll always need someone to rescue you." Every cruel sentence echoed inside his mind. Instead of breaking her, those words had become the fuel that pushed her forward. Elena looked at Marcus with compassion instead of anger. "I don't hate you," she said softly. "For a long time, I wanted to prove you wrong. But eventually, I realized I didn't need your approval. I only needed to believe in myself." Marcus lowered his head. For the first time in years, his confidence disappeared. I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I treated you terribly." Elena nodded. "I appreciate the apology. But some chapters of life are meant to stay closed." Daniel checked his watch. "We should get going. Our investors are waiting." As they walked toward a sleek black car, Marcus stood frozen on the sidewalk. He watched Elena step into a future she had built with her own hands, a future he once claimed she could never have. Only then did Marcus understand the painful truth. He hadn't lost Elena because she was useless. He had lost her because he never recognized her true value until it was far too late. Marcus stood alone on the sidewalk as Elena and Daniel's car disappeared into the busy city traffic. The noise of passing vehicles faded behind the thoughts racing through his mind. For years, he had convinced himself that success meant having more money, a bigger office, and people who admired him. Yet in a single afternoon, Elena had shown him that true success was measured by character, resilience, and the courage to believe in yourself. That evening, Marcus returned to his luxurious apartment, but it felt strangely empty. He walked past expensive furniture and stared at the city lights through the large windows. Everything he owned suddenly seemed meaningless. He couldn't stop replaying his last conversation with Elena. She hadn't insulted him. She hadn't tried to embarrass him. She had simply spoken the truth with kindness, and somehow that hurt more than any harsh words ever could. Unable to sleep, Marcus opened social media and searched for Elena's company. He found hundreds of photos of her speaking at business conferences, mentoring young entrepreneurs, and donating school supplies to children in underprivileged communities. There were stories of employees thanking her for changing their lives and helping them achieve their dreams. The comments were filled with admiration, not because she was wealthy, but because she treated everyone with respect. Marcus realized that while he had spent years chasing status, Elena had spent those same years building a life that inspired others. The next morning, he made a decision. He visited the small community center where he had once volunteered as a teenager. Instead of writing another business proposal, he offered to mentor young people who dreamed of starting their own businesses. For the first time in years, he listened more than he spoke. Months passed, and Marcus slowly became a different man. He learned that apologizing was only the first step. Real change came through consistent actions. Although he never expected Elena to return, he was grateful for the lesson she had unknowingly taught him. One afternoon, Marcus received an invitation to a charity fundraising event. As he entered the hall, he saw Elena across the room. Their eyes met, and this time there was no pride, no bitterness, and no resentment. Marcus walked over with a sincere smile. "Thank you," he said. Elena looked surprised. "For what?" "For showing me that a person's worth isn't decided by someone else's opinion." Elena smiled warmly. "I'm glad you discovered that." They shook hands before returning to their separate conversations. They were no longer part of each other's future, and that was perfectly fine. Marcus left the event with peace in his heart, knowing that losing Elena had become the greatest lesson of his life. Sometimes the people we underestimate become the very people who teach us the most valuable lessons. Never judge someone's future by where they are today, because determination, kindness, and self-belief can transform any life.